Testing, testing. All right. You people on the other side of the street, feel welcome to come join us as we demonstrate our First Amendment rights to speak out against the oppression across our country and countries around the world. Woo! Now, I've never been good at this public speaking thing, so do me a favor. When we get to that point and I make an ass out of myself, at least send me a link to the video on YouTube. Thank you everyone for coming out today. Today we rise across the globe to stand up and defend our human right to privacy from those who have taken it from us. Those people that call themselves our leaders and dare to say our protectors. Many of you do not know me and may not have heard of my work, and that is why I am here. My handle is Seek Veracity. I'm a native New Englander, an organizer and an activist of Occupy Maine, and the founder of Documenting Dystopia, a crowdsourcing effort to build the world's first global surveillance camera directory. I am honored to have the opportunity to speak here today about our shared concerns of the erosion of our privacy and the expansion of the surveillance state. I know this is a topic close to home for peaceful activists here in Boston and around the world, as governments, especially our own, are increasingly expanding surveillance infrastructure to illegally monitor its citizens and, more despicably, its protesters, and using your taxpayer funds at that.
Right.
I feel that privacy is one of the most important topics of discussion in our now interconnected society. Now, that being said, privacy is only one facet of the decline of our society into a dystopian landscape. You may have seen the phrase, 1984 is not an instruction manual. That's because George Orwell's 1984 describes a dystopia in which surveillance and intimidation are tools of oppression used by a totalitarian government known as Big Brother. Look around you, what do you see? You are on at least 5 surveillance cameras right now, if you can hear me. A dystopia is a community or a society that is undesirable and even frightening. The very opposite of a utopia, dystopia is often characterized by many categories: perpetual war, information control, environmental disasters, dehumanization, and totalitarian and tyrannical governments. Now, make no mistake, a tyrannical government gains its power through oppression. A totalitarian government gains its power through ultimate control. Brothers and sisters, we have both. Woo! Let's talk perpetual war. We've been at war with an invisible and ever-moving enemy, which has dragged our defenses to over half a dozen countries. Through force and intimidation, we continue to destroy families and communities that will grow up with an understandable and insurmountable hatred for the United States. Information control? Our mainstream media has become the lapdogs that a tyranny wants them to be, instead of the watchdogs that a democracy requires. Woo! Organizations like WikiLeaks have extrajudicial financial blockades placed upon them for not towing a party line and refusing to speak anything but the absolute, unadulterated truth. Whistleblowers of corporate, federal, and military crimes are being persecuted for their bravery and not honored for their heroism. Environmental disaster? We've seen progressively more dangerous storm systems, dozens, hundreds, and thousands of people without food or shelter in any given month. 50,000 people just marched on D.C. as Obama played golf with oil executives. Yet we continue to subsidize a multi-billion-dollar energy that strips the money from our pockets, the life from our planet, and the years from our children's lives.
Right.
Dehumanization. Reality television, let's sit there for a moment. We draw hordes of people to enjoy voyeurism in the form of arguing, shopping, crying, killing, suffering, fucking, and surviving. Yeah. Indefinite detention, torture, police brutality run rampant through our streets from sea to shining sea. Politicians will deny the need for background checks for a firearm while mandating intrusive medical exams on a pregnant woman before she can make her own medical choices. Pundits and politicians continue to bicker amongst themselves, generating meaningless distractions and divisiveness amongst our people. These differences of gender, race, sexuality are used to draw lines in the sand when they should be used to unite us as a species filled with genuinely unique and amazing individuals. And tyranny and totalitarian governments. If you deny a full-body scanner at an airport and the TSA puts their hands down your pants, does that sound like government overreach to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds like a government reach around.
Corrupt politics strangle our democracy as we are locked into an electoral system of two false choices for hope, neither of which are sponsored by our people. These politicians are sponsored by immortal corporations that continue to use record profits to purchase any politician who will bend over and say yes, sir.
A lot of them.
We are losing our first, our second, our fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth amendment.
And 10.
And your government has convinced your friends and family that it's all okay. It's for your safety, under the guise of providing a false security to a non-existent threat to our freedom. Now, the last aspect of a dystopian society, which I will be focusing on primarily now, is the one that we are exhibiting more with each passing year, and that is the illegal surveillance, investigation, and persecution of law-abiding citizens and First Amendment demonstrators, both in and out of public spaces. Public records and surveillance video obtained by the Massachusetts ACLU and the National Lawyers Guild of Massachusetts show that Boston police routinely spy on ordinary citizens engaged in peaceful First Amendment protected activity, much like this. They are creating criminal intelligence reports on the lawful political activity of peace groups and local leaders.